Welcome back to This Week in Magic Online Finance. As always, I'm your host, Chaz Andres, and we're going to get started with the news. But before we do, let me just say that I'm not going to be going into depth on my usual movers and shakers this week. There's just too much going on in the world of Magic Online. So let's actually begin by just taking a really brief look at what's going on in the marketplace. In Standard, the biggest gainer was Angel of Invention, which we talked about a lot last week. It's key to both mono-white vampires and, of course, all the God Pharaoh's gift strategies. In Modern, the biggest gainers are Liliana of the Veil and Liliana the Last Hope. Both those Lilianas are doing really well right now, as is Mishra's Bauble. Mishra's Bauble's on the way up, though it remains to be seen if that's going to continue once Iconic Masters drops in a couple of days. As for the losers, there weren't any really major drops in Standard this week, though the format overall as an index has declined slightly. Cards like the Scarab God, Hazoret the Fervent, they're just not as hot right now as they were in the days immediately following the Pro Tour, and those will probably continue to slowly drop off as we head into the holiday season. In Modern, the biggest losers were the cards from 4-color humans. Cards like Noble Hierarch, Cavern of Souls, they had been gaining value for a couple of weeks, but they hit that peak, they've started to drop, and I hope you sold into that hype. It's still a decent deck, but I think those cards are returning back to Earth now. Alright, with that stuff out of the way, it's time to move on to the biggest news of the week, and we're actually going to start with a pretty significant bombshell. For the first time ever, you can buy play points directly from Wizards of the Coast. That's right, you can actually buy them as opposed to just winning them in events, and that is significant, especially considering they're offering them at a discount if you buy enough of them. You can buy them in 3 tiered packages. The first is 240 play points for $24, so no discount there. The second is 480 play points for $45, kind of a small discount. Or if you spend $100, you can get 1,200 play points, and that is a fairly significant bargain. So what does this actually mean? Well, in terms of entering events, it means quite a bit. In the past, you had to either win play points or buy event tickets in order to enter tournaments. And event tickets either cost you $1 from the Wizards of the Coast store or slightly less than $1 on the secondary market. But now, if you buy those 1,200 of play points for $100, you can use those to enter events. And that means you're effectively paying 83 cents on the dollar for the drafts, the tournaments, whatever you want to do on Magic Online, except buy singles. Now, it's possible this is going to adversely affect the purchasing power of your event tickets. See, in the past, you could use event tickets for entering tournaments or buying cards on the secondary market, and both sort of held about the same amount of value. But if you can go off and buy play points and enter tournaments much cheaper, suddenly event tickets are capable of doing a little bit less. At this point, it doesn't make sense to use them for entering tournaments, it only makes sense to use them for buying cards on the secondary market. But the more I thought about this, the less worried I became. For one, this is a limited time promotion. It's only going to be around until mid-January or so. If it becomes a more permanent thing, it may end up adversely affecting the value of a ticket over the long term, but for now, it just seems like a cool thing that Wizards of the Coast is doing to let you draft a little bit cheaper over the holiday season. Second, how many players are actually going to go out there and drop multiple $100 on multiple 1,200 play point bundles? I don't think many people are going to do it. Most Magic Online players just don't have that much cash to throw at the program over and over again. They buy more incrementally. They're more likely to buy these lower value play point bundles that don't have much of a discount at all. Also, MTGO Traders hasn't lowered their buy price on event tickets, and they would absolutely do this if they weren't confident in the market going forward or in the future buying potential of an event ticket. It's possible that these things might drop a cent or two during this promotion, but I'd expect that to rebound again in mid-January. In the meantime, definitely go out and buy at least one of those $100 bundles if you play a lot of tournaments. It is a really good deal. Now, the next change is also pretty exciting. You're going to get a chance to open complete sets in treasure chests now. All the standard legal sets are there, and you can open one in foil or non-foil. Now, I don't expect this to significantly reduce the price of cards in Standard. The drop rate is really low. For foil sets, it's the lowest possible drop rate out of anything in a treasure chest, and the non-foil sets aren't much better. Your chance of opening one is about the same as opening a Black Lotus or a Mock Sapphire or the other scarcest cards currently in chests. But this should raise the EV of these chests at least a little bit, which is a nice bonus for everyone who opens them a lot. Moving on, the cards from the latest Commander set are finally going to be added to Magic Online, but they're not going to be appearing in the curated list like we expected. They're going to be appearing on a new list called the Exclusive Sheet. And the Exclusive Sheet features a ton of cards from throughout the history of Magic that haven't ever been released on MTGO yet. Now, these cards are going to be scarce. You've got a 5% chance to open an Exclusive Sheet card in each of your 3 treasure chest slots. What that means is that each treasure chest only has a 15% chance of getting an Exclusive Sheet card in it at all. Also, a lot of the cards on the Exclusive Sheet are actively bad. You're not going to be that excited about opening Energy Tap or Flood, no matter how scarce they are. This tells me that the cards that are good, cards like Miri Weatherlight Duelist, who's an awesome commander, are going to be worth more than they would have in the past if they just ended up on the curated sheet. So if you get a card like this off of the Exclusive Sheet, definitely hold on to it for a bit. It's probably going to hold its value much better than it would otherwise. Let's finish off the week by taking a look at some changes to the curated cards list, which is changing again with the release of iconic masters on Magic Online. And leaving the list are cards like all of the Pain Lands, Angel's Grace, Basilisk Collar, Eldrazi Monument, Fire Blast, Flagstones of Trocaire, Gitaxian Probe, Lingering Souls, Minamo School at Water's Edge, Mindslaver, Molten Rain, Null Rod, Painter's Servant, Pendelhaven, Protean Hulk, Red Elemental Blast, Show and Tell, Slaughter Pact, Surgical Extraction, and Transmute Artifact. We're also losing some stuff that really doesn't matter as much, like Squirrel Wrangler and Scarecrow. Now, most of these cards aren't big losses, but we might see some long-term gains from Eternal staples like Null Rod and Show and Tell. Now, the good news is that the curated card list is actually getting significantly better yet again, and it's doing so because Wizards of the Coast appears to have taken a look at the standard metagame after the Pro Tour and decided to add almost every interesting card to the curated list. That includes things like Approach of the Second Sun, Carnage Tyrant, Gideon of the Trials, Glorybringer, Hazaret the Fervent, Hostage Taker, Legion's Landing, Nissa Steward of Elements, the Locust God, the Scarab God, and Vraska Relic Seeker. This is a really good list. Now, unlike the complete sets, I think this is enough to impact the price of cards in Standard. This was already going to happen thanks to the fact that the holiday season is approaching, the Pro Tour is behind us, and Standard prices always drop this time of year. Add that to the curated card list, and I think we're going to end up with significantly lower Standard prices over the next 4 or 6 weeks. If you're a significant investor in Standard, it might be a good time to sell and then plan to buy back in mid-December or so. That's all I got for you this week. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and join me next Monday for another episode of This Week in Magic Online Finance.